This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
What's up, Detroit sports fans? Welcome to the Fan Report Show, made by fans for fans, powered by the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I'm Nick, and with me is Anderson to give us this week's topics.
I am so happy to say that both the Lions and Pistons won a sporting event game contest
Thingy.
on the same day for the first time in 4 years. It's a Fan Report.
Wait a minute. That's the first time in 4 years they both won on the same day?
First time since November 19, 2017 that they both won on the same day. It's the first time they both beat 500 plus 500 teams in the same day since 12/19/2010. It's also the first time they won by double digits on the same day since 1973.
You guys can't see me right now, but my jaw is basically on the floor. Like that stat just blows me away. Like that just absolutely bewilders me. I'm in utter shock. And to say that it's
the Lions messing that up most of the time.
I mean, that's almost a guarantee. But I would bet you that, like, well, no, it's sad that it's wasted on two bad teams too. Like, neither of these teams are doing a damn thing this year, and that's a given. It's like that's obvious at this point. We have a 5-win now basketball team and a 2-win football team, and it's not like we just started the season either. We played some games here.
Who do you want to start with?
Let's start with the Lions. They started earlier than the Pistons. They were earlier in the day, so let's actually were they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pistons were at 6 on Sunday.
That
was complete and utter dominance of the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know if the Cardinals just didn't take the game seriously, or
it sure.
I understand they were missing D-Hop, but we were missing basically
everything.
Our entire offense. So
we were missing basically everything. I saw someone had posted exactly what we were missing, like wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, RB1, RB2, tight end 1, left guard, center. What else? Linebacker 1, cornerback 3, safety 1. Like just the list is ridiculous on what the Lions were missing. And not to say that having those guys makes any kind of real difference in the grand scheme of things, because this team was still bad with or without those players. But
yeah, the
Lions came out and proved that in the NFL, things are weird. Anything can happen on any given day. And that was obvious.
They busted a lot of people's parlays.
Oh, absolutely.
Including mine.
Cardinals were in a lot of people's plays this weekend. And it looked like a couple of things. One, Jared Goff played his best game in a Lions uniform. No ifs, ands, questions, or buts about it. Like this dude, he was on point. Amon-Ra St. Brown looks like he is going to be a legitimate receiver in this league and a solid option for whoever is the quarterback of the future. And I mean, I've been touting it all year. I think the kid really deserved a shot and was really going to make something of it. So we're starting to see that come to fruition. I think I saw a stat that said he is the first Lions rookie to post back-to-back 50-yard, 1-touchdown performances since Roy Williams.
Really?
And Roy Williams was a very solid receiver in this league for a long time. So you may actually have something here with Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, Craig Reynolds step up and rush for 100 yards in the day.
You know what's funny? When I saw the box score, because I didn't watch the entire game, I didn't watch the beginning of the game, and when I saw the box score and I saw that Craig Reynolds was running the football, I had to ask myself, who the hell is Craig Reynolds? And he was playing well. I mean, he obviously played very well. So I do think this is a couple of like I said, I do think this is a couple of things that were going on this past weekend. You had Jared Goff playing well, like I mentioned. You had guys stepping up into roles that they weren't used to, but also you couldn't game plan for them because you had no idea who was playing for the Lions.
Yeah.
The Cardinals came in blind. And then also, I think the Cardinals seemingly took the day off. Kyler Murray didn't really seem overly engaged and overly focused. The defense obviously was not overly engaged or focused. Like that Cardinals team looked like they were looking past the Lions, and it came back to haunt them. You can't do that in the NFL, no matter who your opponent is.
Yeah, and there's a reason that saying exists any given Sunday. It's because anyone can beat anybody on any given Sunday, and if you come out and sleepwalk through a game, which is what it felt like the Cardinals did, yeah, you're going to get popped, even by the Lions.
Like, I can't really take any negatives from this game. Like, the only positive I can really take also is the play of Amon-Ra St. Brown and
Yep.
the defense, like those are really the only real positives I can take from the game because we're watching a bunch of guys who probably will not be on this roster for years to come.
Yeah.
So with that being said, one of the positives I can take is Dan Campbell looked like a better football coach this weekend. And we had been saying all year that you can't bring back a winless coach. Well, now he's got two.
Yeah.
And he's kind of set himself up into a position where I think the argument is done with of whether or not to bring him back. He's coming back, and I don't really think you can say much to go against that unless you're just trying to say that he straight up isn't the guy. And if you believe that, no matter what he does the rest of the season is going to change that. If you don't believe he is a good football coach, nothing he can do is going to change that the rest of the year. You have your mind made up there. But I said I wanted 1 or 2 wins for him to be brought back, and he's given that now, and one of those is against the best team in the NFC. So can't really fault him anymore.
I do have one question for you on that. Before I get to, I do want to also shout out Will Harris, who played outside corner for the first time in his career, and he looked damn good somehow.
He did. And
only allowed 4 catches on 6 targets, which when only 6 targets go towards you, that's actually a good thing. And at a 71.6 coverage grade from Pro Football Focus. So it was a really good outing for a safety playing outside corner. So
maybe he needs to stay there.
Maybe. But so has this win, I mean, we were both pretty down on Dan Campbell just a few weeks ago. Has this win, I know you said this pretty much solidified he's coming back, but you personally, does this up your opinion on him, or are you still out on MCDC?
I'd be lying if I said it didn't up my opinion on him. Like, he coached a good football game, and this is really the first football game of the year that I can say he truly coached a well-rounded, good football game. Because even when they won the other week, I can't even remember who they beat, but even when they won the other week, the Vikings, they almost gave that game away, and it was Dan Campbell's fault. So I couldn't even say he coached a good football game in that one because he almost blew it.
This is the first game where I've been like completely happy with what I saw from Dan Campbell as head coach.
Right. Like in a situation where here's my thought process when it comes to head football coaches, much like cornerbacks. If you don't hear their name called a lot, it's probably because they're doing things right.
Exactly.
It's when they're noticed is when they're making mistakes, doing things that probably shouldn't be done and it not working. That's when you see coaches get noticed. That's when you see corners get noticed. And offensive line also. Like when their name gets called a lot, things probably aren't great. And I really couldn't think of a time that I this past weekend where I said I even thought of Dan Campbell, really, because again, he coached a good football game. So yeah.
And it's like a bittersweet feeling too, because like we said, we saw Jared Goff play his best game. We saw finally what we've been looking for at Dan Campbell, and we saw this team play a complete game. A lot of people stepping up in spots you wouldn't expect them to step up, and a lot of good from this game. But on the other side, you probably just lost your number. You probably just lost your number 1 pick.
Yeah, this and for the future of this franchise, this technically did hurt the Lions. Like we fell out of the number 1 spot going in to the next week of the season to get the top draft pick, which means you get your pick of who you want. So yeah, it does hurt us, and it does beg the question of, was this a good win for the Lions? Well, frankly, I don't think there's such thing as a bad win. But I am curious to hear your thoughts on this, Andrew. Did you like that? Like, it's weird to word this way, but did you like that the Lions won? Because it did negatively affect their draft stock. It does hurt their trade value there.
Yeah, I feel like this win did more for the culture of this team than a number 1 pick would do. And I'm also probably saying that because I'm pretty torn on the top 2 edge rushers in this draft. So, like, I'm okay if one goes off the board and we grab the other. I'm not, throwing a fit. I kind of like both of them. So, number 2, I'm not going to be too upset about. Now, if we keep winning, we have a solid chance of winning against Atlanta. I'm going to start getting worried.
So,
but yeah, I do feel just culturally what they were able to do out there on Sunday, what Dan Campbell was able to instill in his players. I feel like it's a lot better to see that than to just shoot for that number 1 pick.
So my thought process behind the culture aspect is, at this point, I don't think Like, I'm not going to really buy into a culture aspect at this point in the season. And the reason is because, hold on, let me finish. The reason is because you're talking about instilling a culture into a group of players that probably 95% of them will not be a part of this team in the future. So what culture are you instituting when you're going to be having a completely different group of guys? Like, it doesn't make a difference at that point whether or not you're instituting a winning culture now, because none of these guys are going to be here in 3-4 years when you're ready to start competing.
Yeah, what I'm saying is if you don't get a win like this, whatever culture you're trying to instill is moot. Like, a win like this is crucial to trying to instill a culture, period, is the way I view it.
Yes, but again, who are you instilling a culture into? Because unless you have a bunch of guys in your roster that you're trying to build up into a winning team, then like you're not instilling anything. You're just continuing down the line until you get your guys, because those are like next year, in my opinion, is really the first year that Dan Campbell is going to be able to start instilling a real culture into this locker room, because that's where we're going to start seeing guys that are going to be here for a while. Yeah. Sure, Panay Sewell, guys like that, those guys are going to be around, but that's when you're going to start seeing impact players come into this organization that'll be here for a while, is coming into next year. Right now, I don't think the culture, quote unquote, culture is as big of a deal as people really make it out to be, because again, you're instilling a quote unquote culture into guys who aren't going to be here. So it doesn't really matter in my mind. Yes, I will say this. A win like this is important for the confidence in Dan Campbell, the confidence in his coaching staff, the confidence in this GM, the confidence into some of the players in the team that could be fringe guys. Yeah, it's good for their mindset and their confidence and their belief in this organization and this team. Like, it proves that, we can go out and win a football game any given Sunday. And I mean, if you really look at things, the Lions are 9-5 against the spread this year. That means they've played games close. They've locked up a winning record against the spread already. They've played games closer than anybody would have expected. Yes, they've had some straight up duds, but this team's competed, and there's no doubt about that. And they've even won a game that they really should not have against the Cardinals, and they won it soundly. So yeah, the confidence in Dan Campbell should be high after a win like that. And it from a fan perspective, we shouldn't really be that mad about a win like this. Yeah, we lost the number 1 pick, but it gives you something to believe in a little bit here. Does it give you a little bit of false belief in Jared Goff? Yeah, like I'll be honest with you. I don't love that he played as well as he did, because now I'm starting to feel like we're going to end up seeing another year of Jared Goff, which I'd rather stub my pinky toe on my coffee table than that. But it is what it is. Like I'm not expecting much out of next year anyways. So if I have to torture myself through another year of Jared Goff, well, so be it. But in my thought process with the draft is, a number 1 pick would be great. But like you said, I am torn between Kayvon Thibodeau and Aiden Hutchinson. I don't know who the prize prospect is going to be. I've said in the past, didn't seem like Aiden Hutchinson wanted to play here. Well, he came out in an interview and actually said he does want to play here. So he made it sound like the hometown scenario would be awesome for him to get to experience. So, I mean, that has really kind of quelled some of my concerns with him. So, do I know which of the 2 prospects are going to be the best? No, I don't. I don't think anybody does. Yeah. And I'm happy with either one of them. So if we end up at number 2, that's okay in my mind. You know what? If anything, if you want to look at it from a perspective of the Lions always get the pick wrong, well, guess what? Now they won't get the choice to get the pick wrong. It's this guy or this guy, and the other team's going to be the one to take the pick. So you can't blame them at that point.
No, you're 100% right. No, obviously it'd be nice to, if it's an organization that we trust, it'd be nice to have, the choice and be able to properly evaluate both, which it's not they're not going to. But that's why I agree. I even though I do still lean Kayvon Thibodeau, I am very much torn between the 2. Absolutely. And I'd be cool with either. I'm trying to pull up our standings right now to see.
We're only a half game behind, quote unquote, like behind technically of, I believe, the Texans and the Jets, I think, are the other team. Like, they have 3 wins, we have 2.5. So we can't afford, if we want to get one of the top 2 pass rushers.
So if we beat the Falcons, that's going to be that's not
you want me to be honest? We're fucked. No, in all reality, like, there are clearly 2 guys in this draft that are the prize. if you find yourself in a position that puts you in a spot where you are no longer able to get one of those two guys, you're royally messed up. Because next, beyond that, you're looking at, if you say you pick 3 or 4 or 5, well, your options are between another corner in the top 5. We saw how well that went. A safety in the top 5. That's never a good situation.
Nope.
Or a receiver in the top 5, which, frankly, this team's not a receiver away from being ready to win. Yes, it's a need, but I'd be much happier taking a receiver in the 20s than I would in the top 5. So, frankly, it's pass rush or bust in my mind, and that's why you got to end up with one of the top 2 picks in this draft. So they can't really afford to win any more games unless some of these other teams start helping them out.
Yeah, and just real quick, the early spreads against the Falcons, it's Falcons minus 3.5. To be honest, I think I kind of like the Lions plus 3.5. I'll take getting a field goal there.
I mean, they're 9.5. They're 9-5 against the spread. That tells you that the Lions have been the better bet this year most of the time against the spread. So,
but even Vegas obviously sees that like this is not necessarily a given that the Lions lose this game.
No, absolutely. I mean, the Falcons have not been playing good football lately. So I don't really think that the Lions are going up against the Falcons team that went to the Super Bowl a few years back. Like this is a totally different team. And I do think the Lions can beat a team like this. I'd be unhappy. I can't say I'd be unhappy. Like it's so weird being in this position of a sports team because you want to see your team succeed, but at the same time, for the future, winning now hurts you.
Yep.
We need to end up with Kayvon Thibodeau or Aiden Hutchinson in this draft. We need it. We can't afford not to.
Like we just had to have that tie against the Steelers, huh? We just had to.
Like that right there screws us.
But yeah, so honestly, I don't know how I'm gonna feel going into Sunday's game. I really don't. It feels like a lose-lose in my head.
Well, I'll be honest with you. What are they losing by losing?
Lost to one of the shittier teams on their schedule.
Okay, so what? What's the point of winning?
True.
Like, they're not competing for a playoff spot. They're mathematically eliminated.
Jared Goff did get put on the COVID list today. And if you saw that locker room celebration, they were all huddled around Jared Goff as Jared Goff was hyping him up at the end.
I fully expect
we might have a widespread COVID situation.
I fully expect this team to have like 15 to 20 guys out with COVID this week. Don't get me wrong. Like,
and probably by the time this podcast comes out, we'll probably know.
Yeah, the Red Wings straight up got their season shut down. So we'll see what happens with the Lions and the COVID situation that could be going around the locker room. And it's been an issue for a couple of weeks now. Like they've been missing guys due to COVID protocol or some type of illness for a couple of weeks. So something's going around, and we'll see if we start to lose more and more guys. I mean,
been a nightmare for fantasy football. I'll tell you that much.
In all reality, like it could end up with this game being postponed. We'll see.
It very much could. So are you taking Lions plus 3.5?
Yeah, I again, as I've said, I will not bet the Lions this year. Like I think they're a scary bet week in and week out. Like I stay away from them. Yeah. But if I had to, I'd take Lions with the points. Yes.
Okay, there was only one time where I bet the Lions money line, and that was against the Browns because the Browns were a complete dumpster fire at that point. But Lions didn't show up to that game. But one team that has largely avoided, knock on wood, COVID protocol is the Pistons. Don't know how, because they played the Nets, and the Nets have been ravaged by it. But
they did have one game get postponed, didn't they?
Yeah, but it wasn't because of them. It was the Bulls.
Right.
Yeah. And did they announce a rescheduled day for that?
Nah, I don't think so yet. I don't think that's been planned yet.
Yeah. But the Pistons were on a 14-game losing streak, tying a franchise record, going up against the Miami Heat at home on Sunday.
With a good Miami Heat team.
With the stakes being, if they lose this game, they set the record.
Granted, it was a Miami Heat team without Bam Adebayo.
Yep.
So they were a little bit shorthanded, but
no Jimmy Butler either.
Right, but they did lose to a shorthanded Rockets team. So
I was at that game. That game was not fun. That was sloppy basketball at its finest. And I was actually sitting, and I, not exaggerating here, within 2 arms lengths of Troy Weaver, and I saw Troy Weaver shake his head quite a few times at some of the sloppiness that was happening on the court.
Yeah, they played pretty terrible. Like, I can't even say pretty terrible. It was absolutely abysmal how they played in that game. Like sloppy, like unforced errors. Like it was just straight up bad basketball. It looked like a middle school team out there.
Dude, we left with not left the game, but we left our seats with about 4 minutes left to go in the second, because we just wanted to pry our eyes away from that and salvage what Sandy had left for the next 20 minutes where we go back to our seats. We don't care about these last 4 minutes. Let's just go walk around, blow off some steam.
Jeez.
Maybe the second half will be better. I need a beer. That was basically the sentiment at that game.
But I remember watching that game and consistently being like, Cade looks awfully passive. And then at the end, seeing his stat line of 21 points, 6 boards, 5 assists, somewhere along those lines. And I was like, he can be passive and put up those kinds of numbers. That's unreal to me.
There's guys like that in this league that you don't realize how well they're actually playing. Mm-hmm. And one of those guys, and we compare him a lot, is Luka Doncic. Like that, yeah. You blink, and all of a sudden, guys put up a crazy stat line that you didn't even know happened.
Yep.
And well, yeah, Cade still continues to turn the ball over way too much. Mm-hmm. He's still putting up numbers, and I know they're not usually really at all translating to wins right now, but he's playing pretty well. And I know he had a bit of an off game against the Heat, but he only took 4 shots, which actually kind of surprised me. I don't think we've seen a game where he's only taken 4 shots.
Yeah,
since the Heat first 2 games.
The Heat basically came in with the game plan of, we're going to take away Cade Cunningham. We're going to double him the entire game. And basically what Cade did was, and Dwayne Case kind of commended him for at the end of the game. He's like, Cade, actually, despite only having 4 points, I felt he actually won us this game with his ability to punish the double teams with his passing. He did finish that game with assists. Yeah, he did finish the game with 10 assists. He could have finished with way more, but he did finish the game with 10 assists. And actually, I believe on Saturday, both him and Killian were the first 20 or under backcourt duo in NBA history to each have double-digit assists in the game, which I thought was an interesting stat. But yeah, so
wait,
I actually
the first what
20 and under backcourt in NBA history to finish with double-digit assists each in the same
Sunday?
game. Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was Saturday.
Because it wasn't Sunday, because Killian only had 1 assist.
No, it wasn't Sunday. No, I know it wasn't Sunday. Yeah, it was Saturday.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But no, I actually thought that Cade's game against Miami Heat was an interesting side of Cade that we hadn't really seen yet. Because Cade basically showed that he can impact the game without having to dominate the shot. So dominate the shots basically. So he didn't have to be this. He didn't have to be taking shots to be effective.
It sure helps to have somebody alongside you making shots, though. In games where your team's not shooting well,
that's where Headband D comes in.
And Saddiq Bey, much to his credit, we've been saying a lot of negative things about him lately because of his lack of production and his inability to put the ball in the net. Well, the last couple of games, he's put the ball in the net and put it in really effectively. So
that headband is his version of Michael's secret stuff.
Apparently, it's gotta be. It's Hoodie Mellow 2.0.
It's those shoes from Mike.
He's starting to finally turn a corner and get his shot back, and we've seen it now 2 games in a row, and he's played well. I think this past weekend and primarily Sunday, Pistons fans really got to see the impact that Saddiq Bey can have on the floor with this team.
Oh yeah,
and especially offensively. And what he can do. If Saddiq Bey is playing well in a game, you're probably going to be in the game. And that's without Cade playing his best game offensively. He like I said, he only took 4 shots. Yes, he impacted the game in other ways with the ball in his hands, but Saddiq's making shots. That's a threat. And if you have both guys really starting to make some shots and play well together, that's a dangerous little young core right there between Saddiq and Cade. Right? So team's got a game plan for that. He was obviously the beneficiary of the double teams going on Cade because if I were the defense, I'd be leaving Saddiq open too. Guy couldn't make a shot. Well, he proved if you do that, guess what's going to happen? I can hit the shot.
Yeah. Are you putting any weight into the fact that Saddiq is finally starting to turn it up basically simultaneously with when Jeremy Grant is out of the lineup?
I don't want to say yes, but I don't want to say no. I'll say yes in the sense that it does seem like Sadiq Bey is getting the opportunities that Jeremy Grant would have had in a lot of ways. And we mentioned how when we talked about some lineup shuffles, how with Grant being in there, it kind of makes it a little bit hard for Sadiq to have some room to work. And now that Grant's not in there, and that's why I suggested Bey to move to the bench, was to give him some room to operate. Well, Grant's not there anymore, and Bey is starting to improve. I'll say no, because I'm not necessarily seeing Bey play that much differently than he's been all year. He's just
the shots are finally falling.
Just starting to have the shots fall.
Yeah,
but it does, lend something to the fact that he does have more room to operate. He's got some ability to breathe, and he's not kind of pigeonholed into one role with this team. He's able to be a little bit more diverse with the way he wants to score the basketball. And I think that's made things a little bit easier for Sadiq without Jeremy Grant being there.
Yeah. And yeah, because I've heard some murmurings among Pistons fans on both Twitter and Reddit that this is like evidence that Sadiq and Grant can't coexist. We need to trade Jeremy Grant, but that's just not true. We've seen them both be good at the same time.
I'm not willing to take it that far either. Like we've seen them coexist. We saw it last year. Sadiq Bey played well with Jeremy Grant there. Now we didn't have both Cade and Killian. That's a little bit of a difference maker. But either way, I still think that I'm not ready to go that far. Like we're talking about, he's played without Grant how many games now? 3 or 4?
I mean, if you played a few towards the end of the season last year, I mean,
but like,
you're talking about this season?
Yeah, this year.
What was it? 2? I want to say 2. I want to say it was just the last 2, but let me.
Okay, well,
quick.
If it is 2, 4 doesn't matter. It's such a small sample size that there's nothing really to talk about. I'm not ready to have this discussion yet. If 10, 15 games down the road, Grant's still not back, and Sadiq is still playing at the level he's played the last 2 games, all right, then we can have the conversation. Especially if he starts,
you're right.
Okay, so too good, too bad is what he's done. So what are people even arguing about then? Like, what's their point? He's had 2 bad games without Jeremy Grant too, so I don't get it. Like, I don't think it's evidence of much at all. But if 10, 15 games on the road, Bey's still playing really well, Grant's not back, and then Grant does come back and Bey starts to fall off, well, then we have a conversation to have. But right now, I'm not ready to even begin to have that conversation of whether or not Bey and Grant can coexist.
No, I 100% agree with you. I will make one correction that I think it was 3 good games out of the 4, but yeah, because he had a pretty good game against the Pacers, if I recall correctly. I think it was the Pacers.
You may be right,
but it's irrelevant. The point is, we've seen both of them coexist.
He put up 28 against the Pacers, so it is 3 games.
Oh, okay. But so it's not. I do think this is more a coincidence than anything else. Now, like you said, there could be an argument to be made that maybe 2 scores is too much to play for Sadiq to play alongside of in terms of both Cade and Jeremy Grant. Maybe there's something to that. I don't know.
He played just fine alongside Hamidou Diallo.
Hamidou Diallo had a great game.
He did have a good
yesterday.
game.
I was very impressed by Hamidou. And the other thing that stuck out to me was, dude, Kelly just so fun to watch on defense. He's so impactful on defense. Which his offense would catch up. Like, please.
Which, and I'll be honest with you, is another one of the big reasons why I would prefer to see Killian move to the bench. Because being that defensive specialist off the bench is such a weapon to have at the guard position. Like,
and then offensively, you're probably only going against, second unit guards. Right. So you can probably
think about it this way. Guys that I would compare him to are guys that played, starter type minutes, 25, 30 a game, but came off the bench at a guard position. Lindsey Hunter, that's close to home. He's a perfect example of a defensive specialist off the bench. He could shoot the 3 a little bit more than Killian can, but that's beside the point. Another name that I honestly would bring up as a big key piece of a championship winning team, Sean Livingston for the Warriors. He was a defensive specialist behind Steph that would come in, play impactful minutes, and if the other team had a guard that could dominate the ball, guess what? You put Livingston on him, it made it quite a bit more difficult for him. And you could play Livingston and Steph Curry alongside each other if they wanted to play some small ball. And they did it a lot. They had that lineup of death out there with Draymond at the 5. And it worked, obviously, because they won multiple titles with it. So, in my opinion, to see Killian move to the bench and play that specialist role, I think would be hugely beneficial to not only the starting rotation, but also the bench rotation as well, because it would stymie the bench units that they're going up against, and it would help a lot with the starting unit by playing a different style of basketball that the opponent can't really combat as easily, because it's not as conventional. It's different.
Yeah. But not to mention, I think we're probably going to get Kelly Olynyk back here in a couple of weeks. So
they desperately need him back. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
with you.
finally give that bench the scoring punch that it needs.
But now with Hamidou Diallo starting due to Jeremy Grant being out, if you're putting Killian at the bench, who's the next guy you're bringing up? You bring up Frank Jackson?
Probably for now. Like this is what I've been saying. Like it really doesn't matter who you bring up in my mind. I just want to put guys into roles that I think they will have it for long-term success to get them and build them in that role. Like I firmly believe once this team has a legitimate two guard, that's somebody who's a threat to score the ball, he's going to take Killian's place. It just makes sense. So I would rather see Killian in a role that he's going to have success in long-term now, and learning it and developing that aspect of his game. It's okay that he, I know we drafted him high. I know he's a lottery pick, but it's okay if he just is a key defensive piece on a competing for a championship team. That's okay.
Speaking of, there was a guy we were sitting next to on Saturday's game, and they were doing like this trivia thing with some fan, and they asked him who are the three rookies from the roster from the first round of the 2020 draft. And the guy next to me was like guessing out loud, and he said Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, Hamidou Diallo. And then they showed the answer, and it was Killian Hayes at 7, Isaiah Stewart or Sadiq Bey. And he goes, "We drafted Killian at 7 over Isaiah Stewart?" It's really funny to me.
Isaiah Stewart's actually a guy who started to play some good ball lately as well too. So I've soured on him a lot this season, but he is starting to pick it up also, and that's good to see.
I still need to be convinced that he can be a starting center in this league.
He hit a 3. He hit a 3 the other day or yesterday.
Yesterday.
Like I definitely think he can be a high quality like Montrezl Harrell type off the bench.
Absolutely, 100% agree.
I still need to be convinced that he can actually be a starting 5 in this league.
I 100% agree with you. Like if I could go into okay, let's have a little fun here. It's almost Christmas, and this is actually, I believe, our last show before Christmas.
Yeah,
we're gonna go into Santa's bag of toys here. I want you to pick out 2 toys to give this Pistons roster for long-term success, and I'll give you mine as well.
So this can be anything, right? Like we're talking players,
coaches, whatever you want. Reach into Santa's big bag of toys and tell me what you want.
Can it be any player in the league, or are we talking realistic?
I mean, realistic in the sense that we legitimately have a shot to bring this guy in here, whether it be by a trade or by free agency in a couple of years. Like a realistic chance that we can bring this guy in and make him a part of the future of this team.
I mean, the first one that comes to mind for me is probably taking a guy like a Jabari Smith, for example, in the draft, a 6'11", 220 big man that shoots 44% from
big body.
That shoots 44% from 3 and can also bang down low. I mean, that's kind of exactly what this team needs.
You're not wrong.
And he also averages 2.5 assists per game, so there's a budding potential of a passing big there too. But so yeah, first on my list
He's
would probably
put a little bit of weight on, but yeah.
But
yeah, so probably first on my list would be a guy like that.
A big bodied center that can bang down low a little bit, not get pushed around.
Yep. And the other gift
also shoot.
The other gift that I would grant this team is a volume scorer. Someone like a Karis LeVert can come in and just inject some life into the starting unit via offense. I think those are the 2 biggest holes on this roster. I don't know. I mean, obviously, if I could give just kind of this wide-reaching, very broad gift. It would be depth, but
But I mean, you bring guys,
those are the two gifts that I would.
You bring guys like that in, you build depth that way because other guys that are right now playing big time minutes and big time roles won't be it won't be as necessary for them to play as big of a roles, and that builds your depth that way by default. I'm actually kind of similar to you. I want a scoring guard, a scoring two guard to go alongside Cade that allows Killian to fall into that defensive specialist that can play make off the bench. Like I want a volume scoring shooter. Somebody who can hit a shot outside but also take it to the hole. You want to talk about Karis LeVert? That's fine. I would hope that the person we bring in is a little bit better than that, a little bit bigger of a name that can contribute a little bit more. But
obviously that type of player. But.
Yeah, that type of player is definitely a good one to have. My second gift that I would like from Santa Claus this year is I'm going to give one of two options. I would be happy with either one. Like you mentioned, a big-bodied center that can bang down low, play some good interior defense, and not get pushed around. Miles Turner, there's one name. Jabari Smith, like you mentioned, there's another one. There's names out there that you can talk about in different ways, and whether it be a guy who's already in the league or a guy who's in college. Chet Holmgren, if he adds 50 pounds.
But also, if he adds 50 pounds.
Yeah, but also that center's also got to be able to stretch the floor a little bit and at least be able to hit a mid-range jumper, step away from the basket, hopefully a three. In the case of Jabari Smith, he can do that, absolutely. The other center I'd be looking at is a top-tier playmaking center. A guy who can play some solid defense down low, isn't a total turnstile, but also can move the basketball with it in his hands. If it goes into his hands, the play doesn't just stop there, down low, or even outside. The play doesn't just stop. He can continue to move the ball. Can almost play like a point center type position, like a Jokic, like a Sabonis. Guys like that are in this league and becoming more and more prevalent in this league, by the way. Those teams tend to have success because it's hard to defend against something like that. It's hard to defend against a playmaking center that can move the ball because they not only can they score the ball, but they can create offense with the pass, and that's dangerous because when a guy who's 7 feet tall that can shoot has the ball in his hands, you draw a lot of attention on the defense because there's not a lot of players that can match up against that. But when you draw the attention of the defense and you can find the open man, God, is that ever dangerous. And if you have my first gift request of a shooting guard that can play, that can hit the shot and score effectively, you have Cade Cunningham, you have Sadiq Bey hitting shots outside. Oh, the world is your oyster down low there, big man. Like you're going to rack up assists like crazy. So that's why having a center like that would be, and I'd be willing to sacrifice at least a little bit of defense down there to have something like that. Because a roster that's built that way is tough to stop. So I'd be happy with either one of those two centers.
I think you're spot on.
We do have a little bit of time left. Keeping with the season, I have a couple questions for you. Christmas Day basketball or Thanksgiving Day football?
Well, okay. It's tough for me to say either one of them. One, Christmas Day basketball never has the Pistons on it for good reason right now.
Because they only do good matchups.
Right. That's not to say that this team couldn't be on TV on Christmas Day in the future. We do always get to see the Lions on Thanksgiving, so there is the local impact there, but they're never any good.
Yep.
So
I always feel like the Thanksgiving matchups tend to, I'll say 75% of the time, suck. And then, but there's more tradition behind them.
There is. There's more tradition behind the Christmas Day. Like, I'll be honest with you, I always get pretty hyped for Christmas Day basketball, and I tend to just kind of be let down because I don't think it's as impactful as they make it seem. Versus Thanksgiving.
Well, no regular season basketball game is going to be as impactful as any regular season football game.
Right. And that's why I'm probably going to say regular season football, even though I think I prefer to watch a lot of the regular season basketball a little bit more than the non-Lions Thanksgiving Day games. I also just don't like the Cowboys, so I'm sick of seeing them. But I'll probably lean just by a hair Thanksgiving Day football. Just because of the local aspect, the guaranteed local impact, as well as the fact it tends to just be a little bit more impactful. That's all.
I think you might have actually swayed me because I was coming in saying it's Christmas Day basketball for the entertainment value of it. They're better matchups. They tend to be more fun games.
They are
to
better
me.
matchups. You're not wrong.
But you have the weight behind the Thanksgiving Day matchup. You have that. You have the local aspect. And then the other part that we didn't mention is, at least for me, I tend to bet on football more than I bet on basketball. So there's
True.
There's added weight for me usually for Thanksgiving Day matchup. So I actually might have to switch from what my original pick would have been and say Thanksgiving Day football.
All right. Well. Sorry, Christmas.
Other question to close out: top 5 Christmas movies of all time.
Top 5 Christmas movies. All right. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
In your opinion.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. In no order.
In order? Okay.
No, in no order.
Okay.
Home Alone. I'm going to go Home Alone 2.
You can put both of them in.
No, I'm going to go Home Alone 2 over Home Alone 1. Even though I do think Home Alone 1 is the better movie, I feel like I just have a more personal connection to Home Alone 2.
I feel like Home Alone 2 has the bigger laughs. I really do.
I'll agree with you there. Yeah, I'll agree with you.
Like Home Alone is a better made movie.
Yes.
But Home Alone 2 I feel like does have the bigger laughs.
I like It's a Wonderful Life. Like, they're really good movies and A Christmas Story. Like, I like the classics. I love the classics. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like it's so cliche to put them in a top 5 list.
Yeah. I actually have zero attachment to A Christmas Story. I saw it once in 6th grade.
Just shoot your eye out, kid.
Yeah, I know that part. So, yeah, I'm not even going to put that in my top 5.
I'll throw It's a Wonderful Life in there. Mm-hmm. Just because it is such a classic.
We're almost lockstep.
Okay.
I said we're almost lockstep.
Let me think. What else? Are you one of those people that puts Die Hard in there?
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't believe that just because there's a Christmas tree in your movie, you're suddenly a Christmas movie. There's certain thematic elements that need to be there for it to be a Christmas movie.
I agree with you.
And also, I'll say I'm generally not a fan of Christmas movies. I'll tell you that. Holiday movies in general.
That's fair. Like, I've not, like...
There was a small few for me.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. But also, like, Elf, that's one.
Elf
for
is
sure.
my number
almost
one.
Forgot that one. And I do really enjoy Four Christmases. That's a fun movie. Stupid, but fun.
Is that the one with Vince Vaughn?
Yes.
And Reese Witherspoon?
Yes.
I enjoyed that one. I haven't seen it since I saw it in theaters, though, but I remember enjoying that one.
It's a funny movie. Like, it's a fun movie.
I do have one out there, one that I think it's purely nostalgia based more than anything else. I don't think it's really.
Probably put one of my last one's gonna be between one of these three, and they're kind of all on the same level for me. Mm-hmm. Four Christmases, The Santa Claus, and Christmas with the Cranks. So 2 Tim Allen movies.
Mm-hmm. I own Christmas with the Cranks. I remember I watched it once. I never watched it again. I wasn't a huge fan of that one.
It's a terrible movie, but like it's just one of those movies that you just have a weird connection to because you watched it so many times growing up.
That's me with Jingle All the Way, which is why I can't fault you because I have Jingle All the Way in my top 5.
Oh God,
Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad, and the kid who plays Anakin in Phantom Menace. Mm-hmm. It's one of those movies that I saw so many times as a kid, and I probably haven't seen it in like 10 years now, but I probably could pop it in and really recite every word because how many times I've seen it. But yeah, that'd probably be there for me, and I know it's probably not there for many people. Home Alone, I'm going to lean the first one. I just can't, even though the second one is bigger laughs, I still can't get over the whole thing of how do you lose your kid twice?
First off, how do you get all the way through the airport without noticing you're missing a whole damn child? You missed the whole ass child. You took a shuttle.
I feel like you would have been traumatized so much by the first instance that you'd have this motherfucker on a leash from that point on. But yeah, so Home Alone 1, Jingle All the Way, Elf, Christmas Vacation, and It's a Wonderful Life would probably be my top 5.
Okay, all right.
One that I do want to watch this week, that Christmas movie that's been on my list for a while, is Scrooged. I have not seen Scrooged.
It's a great movie. I have not seen it either. That's the one with Bill Murray, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. That's another one of those Bill Murray movies that I have not seen, and there's not many of those. So I love me some Bill Murray.
You know what Christmas movie I absolutely hate?
What?
And it's not that it's like a bad movie. It's Jack. Have you seen Jack Frost with Michael Keaton?
Yes.
Like, I saw that as a kid. I was like 5 years
where
old.
He becomes a snowman?
Yeah, like...
I don't know. What do you hate about that movie? What's wrong with that movie?
It is literally made to make kids cry. That's the whole reason for its existence.
And you know what? That's okay.
It's their dad dies, and they have to mourn their dad's death. And then he comes back as a snowman, and then once the winter's over, he melts again. They have to mourn him twice. What is so Christmassy about that?
Yeah, that is kind of messed up. You know what movie I remember growing up watching a ton that I've never heard about ever again?
Yeah.
Snow Day.
Who?
Snow Day.
Never heard of it.
Okay, so it was a movie basically where a bunch of kids had, they were going to get a snow day, but it's basically the kids against the snowplows. Where they try to stop the snowplows from plowing the road so that they could have a snow day. I don't really think it's considered a Christmas movie, but it's a winter movie. And I remember watching it as a kid. I want to say it was...
Is it animated or...
No, it's got it's got Chevy Chase in it. I just remember watching that several times as a kid. But I've never, ever, ever heard anything about it since I, turned 12. Came out in 90... Oh, no, came out in 2000. Just kidding. Yeah, 2000. Not a great movie, but I just remember watching it a lot growing up.
Yeah, never heard of it.
Kind of surprised. It's a Nickelodeon movie.
But yeah, that was all. I really wanted to make like a Christmas bracket like we used to do on the live show, but it doesn't play as well for audio only podcasts.
No, it doesn't play as well.
Because then we're asking you guys to like visualize the bracket. So
yeah,
it's a lot easier when we're doing a live show and we got it up on the screen for everyone to see, kind of thing. But yeah, that's all I had for this episode.
That's all I got too. A little bit shorter, but that's okay. It's the holidays. You could spend more time with your family or friends or whoever you spend the holidays with.
I have one for you. Why are Christmas songs so white?
Well, I mean, it depends on the Christmas songs you're listening to. Nat King Cole doesn't make it.
Okay, there's Nat King Cole.
The Temptations.
I did download their...
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you have a problem with the booty Christmas songs? Like the love-making Christmas songs? Like when the Temptations come out and sing and...
No. A lot of love-making that happens around Christmas time.
I mean, I know, but there's a little bit of an there's a little bit of an uncomfy level with some of them.
I mean, Backdoor Santa by Clarence Carter. You can't tell me that's not about what it sounds like it's about.
Have I heard this song?
Oh, it's like a soul Christmas song.
I met a little shorty in my math class. I saw her with the Hello Kitty backpack. I love the way she talked when she turned on. I love the immaturity she bring on. A thickie with a 5'8" body. She passing all her classes, so I keep her ass around for the most part. What? Hit me up if I don't hit enough, girl.
It doesn't sound like the lyrics I'm familiar with. That doesn't sound like the lyrics I'm familiar with.
This is by Clarence Carter.
The one by Clarence Carter goes like, they call me Backdoor Santa. I make my runs about the break of day. They call me Backdoor Santa. I make my runs about the break of day. I make all the little girls happy while the boys are out to play. It's about Santa sneaking through the back door, but
that is a completely different song.
But like,
what the hell was I reading?
The lyrics, like it gets weird when they're like, I keep some change in my pocket in case children are at home. I give them a few pennies so we can be alone. They call me Backdoor Santa. I leave the back door open.
Google, I am sorry, but your lyrics on here are wrong.
Yeah.
Because I found them again.
Yeah, I was listening. I'm like, that doesn't sound right.
I don't know what the heck that was. But that one wasn't very good either. Oh, man. What the hell? Yeah, Backdoor Santa is also a weird one.
Yep.
by Don.
Yeah, but like I
Kimmons and
downloaded this Soul Christmas album that has like Christmas songs from like Otis Redding, Clarence Carter, Booker T. It adds a little spice to my Christmas.
Let me ask you this.
Changes things up a little bit.
Do you prefer older school Christmas songs or the newer school Christmas songs?
I'm very much old school.
Old school? I'll be honest with you. I kind of like the old school too. Like I like listening to Sinatra style songs. Like I enjoy it.
This might be an unpopular opinion, but I can go the rest of my life without hearing "All I Want for Christmas Is You" ever again.
By Mariah Carey?
Yep.
100% agree. 100% agree. I'm so damn sick of that damn song. I could go.
But one that never gets enough play is In Sync. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
I'll agree with you there. Now let me ask you this: is Michael Bublé the modern day father of Christmas?
Yes.
Christmas music, I should say.
Yes. 100%.
I'll probably agree with you.
He does. He gets the most airplay with the modern.
He does,
artist.
and I'll also say this: he's the only one that, like, of modern day that truly like embodies the old style of Christmas music. Like he just brings back the old school to it.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting sports show commentary there. But anyways, guys, we thank you for listening as this year comes to a close. I think we have one more episode dropping this year, correct?
Yeah, we'd have next week.
Okay, so I'll do our New Year's spiel next week then. But we hope you guys have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. We hope you guys stay safe and get to spend it with your families. I know the last couple of years have been kind of rough. And if you're choosing to spend it at home, well, I mean, you're in all reality probably doing the responsible thing. But no matter what you do, we hope you're safe. We hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. And we thank you for hanging with us for another year. Hopefully big things to come for the future. And Andrew, Merry Christmas to you as well.
Merry Christmas to you all.
And follow us on Twitter at Fan Report. Let us know what you would like from Santa's big bag of toys for the Pistons and the Lions coming into next year. I'm curious to hear if you guys have any.
He couldn't have a big enough bag for the Lions.
No, that would have to go from a bag to a shipping container.
Unload the truck.
Stuck on a ship in LA. But again, thank you guys. And this has been the Fan Reporters. Bye, fans.
For our fans.
We'll catch you guys next week for the New Year's episode. Have a good one. Enjoy your holidays. Merry Christmas.
Peace.